I like it. It's cool. But what are we doing?
Oh, lots of different things. Want to find out? Hey folks, it's Chris Dyer, Reborn Martial Arts here in Springfield, Virginia, and we're going to look at some traditional movement and break it down. Kind of go through why we do the way we do and different ways that we're interpreting movements, things that you can look at when you're doing these types of movements. Maybe you've seen this in forms that you know. If you do, comment below. So what we were just working on is from a 5-animal style Qigong form, and it's got this movement in it. Now this movement, this very traditional movement, is sort of, we describe it as like an esoteric movement. A lot of people look at it and like, that's not going to work in a street fight or whatever, but you know, it has its value. It's around for a reason, and kind of go through some of the reasons why we practice it the way that we do. So one of the reasons, why do it slowly? So slowly allows us the opportunity to practice body mechanics. It's just like you don't want to go down to a bench press and just start, you know, going super fast. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to do the movement wrong. You're going to make a mistake. You want to go slow through the movements. You want to make sure that you're doing it properly with the right muscular structure and breathing and all this other stuff, just like you do when we're doing form. So we want to go slow through the movements so that we're doing them properly. That doesn't mean that we can't do this exact same movement fast. In fact, in a second I'll demonstrate with Mike and we'll do some of the movements at speed. But we definitely, when we're practicing forms, like going slow, especially from time to time. And this is one of the things that I think people get confused by our style, our method, or whatever. The way that I teach is, you know, even when we do Tai Chi class, so I have people go through the form fast, like explosive power, going as fast as you can, doing, you know, strikes at speed and all this other stuff. And it kind of blows some people's minds sometimes seeing, you know, things like Tai Chi done that fast, but it is something that is essential to practice, in my view anyway. And so when we do these types of movements, we do want to practice them slow at first, so that we're working on body mechanics, we're working on foot placement, and in a second you'll see what foot placement, especially when we're going through these types of things, foot happens and then my body's going to rock through, is going to be really essential for when we're doing individual pieces. So let's look at some of the ways that I'm thinking when I'm doing this. First, I'm going to talk about it to the air, right? So what's happening here? My hands are coming up. Well, what is this like? Right? This is like Mike throws an attack. I'm throwing my hands up as a block, right? So we have the blocking element to it. So I'm covering from this position. Then my body coils and I'm coming from the other side. So what does this make me think of? Well, think about your, let's actually turn sideways here. Think about your traditional arch, right? He does an attack. Switch to the other hand, he does the attack. Here's my hands, they're up, right? Look at what we're doing. We're going to go super slow so they see the similarities. So here, and we're rolling through. We're here, and we're rolling through and grabbing it. Now I want to switch to the other side. This is the come out on the outside. So now I'm here, and I come out on the other side. And now I have Mike's back. I'm going to turn to the other side. You can see it on the inside. So we're here, 1, 2. This is the same idea. 1, coming through this direction. I'm grabbing on, I'm holding, and I'm pulling him through. Now I have his back. I can take him from different positions. So that's just one way of thinking through it. And again, slowing it down, going through and thinking, you know, what am I doing here? Going through, how would I do this on a person? Maybe, you know, I was practicing this earlier, Mike wasn't around. Going through the movements, and I felt, you know, here's the arm, here's the tricep, going through the motion. And you can do it slow enough, you can actually practice without even necessarily having a partner around. So let's look at this with, you know, against a grab. So he's coming up for a grab, or he's going in for a rear naked choke, right? We have this. So the next part of this is this idea of foot placement. We step behind. Once we step behind, you can grab his legs, you can grab his legs, and we have the same idea. We step back and we grab. What was pressing out this direction simply turns into grab from this position. So again, he's here. I step back in, and Mike doesn't need to eat it. He gets his legs taken out there in this direction. So it's this exact same, do it with me now, do it with me now, we're here, and down. So this element, this idea, practice step behind, and then practice into this grab. Let's actually put them together. So we'll turn sideways again. So putting it together, we're here all the way through. 1, move it to the outside. Maybe he starts throwing the next punch, and I'm going to drop underneath. Let's go to the outside so they can see. 1, I start doing this. He starts throwing his next strike. And there we are. So all of these combined into flowing from one technique to the other technique with the idea of, what are you working on? Well, lots of different things. So, I'm being serious when I say that. You're not just doing a single type of movement. You're thinking about how this relates to other things that we work on. This is just one example of it, but you can offset the hands. You can do the hands pulling in, dropping down, becomes entirely different type of technique, right? But the movement's still the same. So when you're doing forms, they may end up changing. At a very high level, your forms should not, I would say, look the same depending on different things that you're thinking about when you're working on. The form needs to be more lively in your mind. It's a phrase I used to use for a lot of people. The form needs to be lively in your mind. So if I'm thinking about this as a collar, this movement looks very different when I'm practicing it. If I'm thinking about it as a punch, this movement comes a little bit higher. It looks a little bit different when you're doing it. Against, or using it as a double leg, right? I'm focusing more on the low aspect of it, getting underneath the hips. So it's just different ways of working through that type of movement. Traditional movement done in a really practical way. You like it?
Love it.
Thanks for joining us. If you enjoy the video, like, subscribe, share, and if you're in Northern Virginia, stop by and say hi in our
Now we gotta give them what they want. Violence.